I'm really into tabletop RPGs, and I've tried to make my friends play some games with me, but it's not really their thing, and that's fair. So I don't really have a way to play the games, but that's kind of fine. I have my own ways to get my enjoyment out of tabletop RPGs by listening to actual plays, which is what originally got me into the hobby. And also, I buy all these tabletop RPG books. And you know what? I've read some of these tabletop RPG books. And again, I come up with an idea to start a campaign or to do a one-shot in various RPGs. And usually those ideas stick in my head until I get write them down. And then that's usually where they die. And I'm no longer happy with them just dying like that. Instead, I want to share them and see if people would use them. Now, these are just like jumpstart ideas. They're not full-fledged, adventures or whatever you want to call them. These are just jumpstarts that have a premise, maybe a place to start, and an idea where to end it. And maybe I'll go into more details in like the comments for some of them when I have like broad ideas. But I'm just sharing these, and if people use them, that's great. And if you do use these ideas, please share them with me. I would love to hear how they work, because I'm not a game designer. I'm not really anyone. I just have ideas, and I want to share them. All right, so Jumpstart scenario number 1. I'm calling this one Imposing Scarlet. The RPG that I would use, and the one I thought of when I made up the scenario, is Breakfast Cult, which is a Fate Accelerated game. It states that some of its inspirations was Danganronpa, Persona, Soul Eater, stuff like that. So very much anime high school with magic, technology, but also horror and Cthulhu. So if you have another game like that, you can swap them out, I guess. And the basic premise of the scenario was inspired by a book called This Book is Full of Spiders by David Wong, which is the second book in the John Dies at the End scenario. Trilogy? Series. There might be a fourth book, we don't know. Yeah, I like it. I like that series. So the scenario starts with pretty much acknowledging that last week was one of the worst weeks of school because every class period was studying. Every lunch period was studying. And the students were highly encouraged to study during their free time and the weekend. And that's because this week was standardized testing week. And apparently Occultar Academy did not do well last year. That is until the headmaster got on the speakers and announced that all the tests were canceled, and that the student council was throwing a big party at the end of the week, and it was mandatory to go. That seemed odd. And not only that, some of the other students and most of the teachers are acting odd. Maybe it has something to do with the spiders in their heads. Oh yeah, there's spiders in people's heads. Some of us can see them for various reasons. And that's probably a problem. Maybe they're throwing that party, I don't know. Honestly, the biggest issue I have is that my favorite soda, Imposing Scarlet, is no longer in the school. And I'm not even sure if it's located on the island. Like, what am I supposed to drink? Water? Don't know why I went first person there, but I did, and it was fun. Anyway, that's pretty much the basic premise of the scenario. Finding out there's spiders in people's heads, trying to figure out why there's spiders in people's heads, get rid of them, and stuff like that. If I get bored, I might put in the comments who would definitely be infected and who would not be infected. And if you try using parts of this to run a game, let me know. Jumpstart number 2, I'm calling this one Black Sludge. In this one, I imagine using Delta Green when I came up with the idea, which is kind of X-Files meets Call of Cthulhu. You can also use other horror investigative games, but I'm going to kind of use that premise when I talk about the start. And this idea was inspired by John Dies at the End by David Wong, which is a pretty good book. I enjoy it. It's horror comedy. The scenario starts, and Delta Green has collected all the player characters to come to a meeting with their handler. The handler is in the meeting room with a laptop facing the player characters. On the laptop is 4 screens that look like security footage. The first screen is a bank entrance. The second screen is the area behind where the bank tellers are. The third screen is a bunch of security boxes. And the fourth screen looks like a little alleyway that we can presume is the bank, where a homeless man is trying to stay warm in the cold. The handler presses play on the videos. And in the first screen, we see a girl enter view. We can assume she's female based on the style of clothing and her figure. She rolls up her sleeve, takes something out of her pocket, and injects herself with something. And then she's gone. And in an instant, we can see in the other screens that the bank teller cash registers are open. Any petty cash was in them was taken. Security boxes were ripped open. And we can tell alarms are going off because it awakes the homeless man who gets up in a panic. The handler makes sure the players understand that this happened in an instant. The second this girl injected herself with something. The female looks fairly young, maybe in her 20s at best. The homeless man was interviewed by the police, but all they could find out was the homeless man heard some kids talking about some new drug called black sludge that caused them to hallucinate that they were talking to people from the past or the future, and one even claimed that he had something in his pocket that was never there in the first place. The agent's jobs are to find out who this girl is, find out what happened, does this drug have anything to do with anything here, and if it does, get a sample and destroy where it came from. This video got out on the internet, but Delta Green was able to cover up, stating that a bank heist happened by professional people, and this girl was just some druggie on the road. I'm going to post more information in the comments below because I had a lot of ideas for this. But yeah, let me know what you think. So this is going to be episode 3 of my Jumpstart idea. This is more of a campaign Jumpstarter than a one-shot, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. This is going to be a sci-fi themed one, and it was inspired by watching Nextlander's Mass Effect Andromeda series Let's Play. Mass Effect Andromeda seems like a game, let's just say, but still something I can steal ideas from. And with this idea, the game I would probably run with is Termination Shock by Greg Stolze, the guy who made the One Roll engine. He's one of the authors of Unknown Armies, Delta Green. But honestly, any kind of sci-fi game should be able to work. So the scenario idea is basically humans are trying to leave Earth. For whatever reason, doesn't really matter. And they want to go inhabit deep space, go colonize planets, you know, spacefaring stuff. So the idea was to do cryosleep, where they can be put into a cryo bed, be sent into space for thousands of years, and wake up like it was just yesterday. Problem was, the experimentation with cryosleep had a 65% success rate of not dying. But that didn't stop humans to send out a ship into deep space to a planet that they think might work, and they just overpopulated it because they expected many people to just die. Problem was, when everyone came out of their cryostasis pod things, there was a 95 success rate. So the ship was overpopulated at that time. And these are like hundreds of thousands of people. So they were burning through resources. They had multiple leaderships because there was an idea to, you know, if one leader died, they would be able to just, you know, get number 2. And the idea is just be like, have the players do whatever they want to do. They can go colonize the planet, start up a farm, a settlement, get people off of the ship onto the planet, and that will have its own problems. Or they can do the bureaucratic, form a government on this spacecraft as they try to figure everything out. Or they can just be middle management and go settle up a base, but also be the people helping trading, while also dealing with the bureaucracy of the spaceship. You can do a lot with this, especially if you add aliens to the scenario. And yeah, this is not the most original idea, but it was a thought I needed to get out. So let me know if you think this might be a fun little scenario or campaign to run, or if you use it.